Welcome to the Sports Cypher, brought to you by Gas Sports Network. I'm your host, Scruff Line, a.k.a. Nick, GoodAssSports. I'm here, ready to dive in some of the hottest sports topics right now. I have with me special guest today, one of my fellow GoodAssSports contributors. I have with me Bryce Tidwell. How you doing, buddy?
Nick, what up, brother?
Hey, my brother, it's always good to have you on the show, man. Always good to have you on the show. Just wanted to kind of switch it up today. I know we've been talking a lot about the NFL, but I'm getting kind of excited with the NBA season upon us. I got a little bit of preseason basketball action. So I'm ready to talk a little bit about the NBA season and kind of get an idea for what's going, moving forward in terms of the NBA. So I'm going to keep it real simple today. What I want to do is I'm just going to run off my top teams in the East and the West, my true, legitimate title contenders per se. And then I'll see what you think, and we can kind of debate and see where we're at, man. Biggest storyline right now is LeBron moving out west and obviously Kawhi Leonard moving out east. So I think those are going to be the big storylines. But if you don't mind, Bryce, why don't you tell me in terms of what you think and what you see out west, who are your top three teams in the West right now with LeBron moving over?
Top three teams in the West, well, anywhere LeBron goes, it's an instant title contender. You can't take that away from him. So if he's not in the top three, you're delusional. So number one, I'm going to go with Golden State Warriors. They're the reigning champs. You can't take anything away from them, of course. Number two, I'm going to go with this is tough. Matter of fact, number two, I'm going to go with the Houston Rockets. I'll go with the Houston Rockets, number two. Number three, I'll go with the LA Lakers, just because they still got a young team. But I could easily see that switch around, and the Lakers by the end of the season will easily be the number two seed in the West.
Yeah, I think I agree with you for the most part there. Like I said, I think the Lakers at the very worst, I see them finishing 3, but I could really, really see them going 2. Actually, I have the Warriors number 1. I have the Lakers going number 2. I just see them kind of stepping it up this year, and I'm expecting a big year from Ingram, Kuzma, and the rest of those guys out there, and I'm expecting the MVP season from LeBron. I think he's going to put them on their back. And I got Houston 3, but that's really a toss-up there for me. And then on the Eastern side, I mean, pretty easily to say that there's Boston Celtics, the number 1 team in the East with as much depth as they have and young talent. But right there, a short distance behind them, I think Philadelphia. I got them right there as my number 2 team. Despite not being quite as deep as Boston, I think the 2 guys that they have, those 2 young studs, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, I think they're more transcendent enough to potentially give them a different kind of edge and eventually catch up with Boston. But for now, I got them at number 2. And then number 3, all due respect, I have to give respect to the Toronto Raptors, who were a great team last season in the regular season, and now they're adding Kawhi Leonard, who's ready to prove himself. We'll see exactly how good Kawhi Leonard is this year. And that's my top 3 in the East. What about you, Bryce?
Well, I mean, you make some good points about the Sixers, so I won't accuse you of homerism. But I just don't see how I could put, especially if we're talking about how the teams are going to finish and shake up, I don't see how the Raptors can finish with the top spot last year, or at least ahead of the Sixers last year. And now, with their improvement in Kawhi Leonard, I can't see them dropping below the Sixers. If I had to rank how I think it'll finish right now, I'd probably go 1. I'd go with the Celtics, 2, I'd go with the Raptors, and 3, I'd go with the Sixers. Hey, don't forget, man, Kawhi Leonard because I know you're saying, like, the Raptors only did work in the regular season, but Kawhi Leonard is literally, he does his work in the playoffs, you know what I mean? So this might be the perfect fit for Toronto to finally get them over that playoff slump that they've been in, Kawhi coming in, I can see him doing some real damage come playoff time, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, we'll have to see about Kawhi Leonard, man. It's been a little while since we've seen the guy. Maybe I'm a little biased because I haven't seen him in a little while, but I also want to give some time for them to merge and, for them to gel as a unit. That Toronto core of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, they've had a lot of years to grow and become that. They were a mid-level team for some time, and due to that chemistry and that growth as a unit, that's, I think, what really separated them and made them such a great team. So I just think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for Kawhi moving in. It's not going to be an easy transition right away. I do think he's a better player than DeMar DeRozan in many other aspects of the game, gives him another dimension. But I think that they're going to be good, but I don't know if they're going to be that good right off the gate to secure a number 2 seed. But, I mean, ultimately, we'll see. I mean, if you got 76ers versus the Raptors in the playoffs, That's Kawhi Leonard, going head-to-head with potentially who, I guess you're probably sticking him on Ben Simmons or somebody like that, and we've seen what happens in the playoffs. Some guys can get taken out of the games. Who? I guess you would take the Raptors in that playoff series head-to-head versus the Sixers?
It's tough to call it right now because I haven't seen what the Raptors are going to look like just yet. Seen them a little bit in the preseason, and as far as the chemistry, it seems like if anybody's going to have chemistry, it's Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard. That's just judging off a couple preseason games, though, so I would take that with a grain of salt until the regular season begins. I could definitely have a better answer for you come regular season. Right now, it's hard for me to give a playoff victory to a team that I'm not sure how they're going to gel, but I do anticipate them gelling. And I do think it'll be a pretty seamless transition for Kawhi. That dude is elite, man. To me personally, Kawhi is a top 5 player in the NBA. So it's like, you're talking about a guy to me that's amongst the elite. And any team he goes to, you change the outlook drastically.
All right. I respect that. Now, let me just throw one last lob out there for you. Is there any other team besides those 3 teams that you could see winning the Eastern Conference? Any other team besides those 3?
Winning the Eastern Conference, that's tough because, when you look up and down the conference, you gotta highlight a couple teams that shocked last year. First, I gotta give the Pacers some love. They definitely shocked a lot of people last year, and they've only made improvements this offseason. The thing with them, you gotta see some growth from Miles Turner. If Miles Turner can become the guy that a lot of people anticipated about a year ago, him becoming, if he can reach that potential, you could be looking at a real threat with the Pacers. You also got to look at the Wizards. You got to check out the Washington Wizards. They've added Dwight Howard, obviously, and they also got some bench help in the form of Austin Rivers. So they could be an interesting team to look out for. John Wall's coming back with a vengeance after having an injury-plagued season last year. So I'd keep my eye on those 2 teams to be the next closest threats. And then, of course, you definitely can't leave out Giannis Antetokounmpo in the Bucks. Especially with the growth of guys like Chris Middleton, Thon Maker. They're building something over there. So, honestly, the East, to me, is wide open and is a lot deeper than just being a 3-team race. And come All-Star break, we could be looking at an Eastern Conference that we did not expect at all.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Bucks, too. Giannis is the kind of player that, like a LeBron, can really be a game changer for any given team. Maybe can get them back into the mix now with a wide open Eastern Conference. I guess you never know. Yeah, definitely, man. If you had to call the championship right now, who would you put in the championship right now? Top teams out of each conference.
If I had to call it right now for the championship, man, that's tough. If I had to call it right now, though, I'd say give me Golden State coming out the West, and in the East, I'd have to rock with the Celtics coming out the East. That's right now, though, man. I have a much better opinion. We got to have this conversation again come All-Star break, or even sooner, maybe a month or 2 into the season. But right now, if I had to take 2, I'd definitely go Boston and Golden State.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But one last question for you before I let you go, Bryce. Breakout player, either conference. Who's the one guy that you would put your livelihood on to be a breakout performer this season in the NBA?
Oh man, that's tough. If I had to go though, I would go with Aaron Gordon. I've been waiting on Aaron Gordon to arrive for a moment now, and I think it's his time. They finally got some pieces around him. Mo Bamba will be able to stretch the floor, allowing Aaron Gordon to drive a little more. Vucevic, man, they've got a pretty good chemistry there. So if I had to pick one, I'd go with Aaron Gordon. I expect big things out of him.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon is definitely a big-time player. If I had to pick one guy also, in my one breakout player this season, I got to go with the kid Brandon Ingram. Made major improvements from his first year to his second year. Now he's joining forces with the best pure all-around player in the NBA. He's going to get his teammates involved. I think Brandon Ingram's in for a big year alongside the King. But, Bryce, thanks for joining the telecast, man. I appreciate you coming on board. And, as always, man, Gas Sports for the culture, man. We doing it big time. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Sports for the culture, man, all day.
Oh, all right, man. Continuing on with the show, I want to talk a little bit more about the NBA. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some teams that I think have the possibility to surprise. I'm talking surprise teams on either side of the conference. And I got to say, I've been looking around at these preseason rankings, and I don't think that anyone is giving enough respect to the San Antonio Spurs. Let's not forget that this is Greg Popovich. He has always had a winning team. I'm seeing them ranked right 10th, 11th in the West. The way I see it, man, they had a playoff caliber team last season without Kawhi Leonard. You throw in DeMar DeRozan over there. You throw in Lonnie Walker, who I see as a big-time rookie impact player who's going to be good right off the bat. I'm just very high on him coming out of the draft. I see the Spurs as a potential surprise team this season. Also, on the Eastern Conference side, I want to talk about the Bulls. Shout out to the Bulls. I think the Bulls are going to be a good team this year. They have a really young, loaded roster across the board. I like the front court combination of Lauri Markkanen alongside Wendell Carter Jr. I think Wendell Carter Jr. is going to prove a lot of people that passed on him that he is going to be an impact player right off the bat playing that center position for the Chicago Bulls. Transitioning there, I think they're going to be a good team. And I think the real biggest thing for the Eastern Conference is who's going to step out and be the top dog. It seems like it's going to be the Celtics, but with the 76ers and the young talent that they have, it's going to be very intriguing to see how they come along. Ben Simmons had a big season last year. I'm expecting him to take major steps forward. Joel Embiid as well. He's really been taking a lot of look at film, trying to develop himself and continue and, learn from those mistakes that he made, particularly in that postseason. Kind of piggybacking off of the 76ers, I want to talk a little bit about a story that's a little close to home for me. I want to talk about Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz, one of the biggest stories in the NBA last season for all the wrong reasons. Markelle was drafted with the number 1 overall pick. Unfortunately, Markelle, started out the season. He struggled a bit, and he had some very strange things going on with his shoulder. Seems like the kid completely forgot how to shoot the basketball. Probably one of the biggest documented cases of the yips in the history of possibly in sports. It's one of those. It's definitely something that, I haven't seen in my time covering the game, where a player who was pretty much lights out in college and was drafted for his dynamic scoring ability suddenly seems like he just forgot how to shoot. Now, he had a rough season last year. Everyone kind of took on him hard, wondering what was going on with him. There was big time moments during the playoffs where he wasn't in the game and people were wondering, where's Markelle? But just like with the rest of the team, you have to trust the process. Bigger things going on here. Obviously, seemed like there was a little bit of mental, problems, not mental problems, but, you got to give these kids some time to grow. And you have to also understand that each of these kids is going to grow up on their own terms. It's hard. When I was 19 years old, I could barely speak in front of an auditorium. Now I broadcast to millions at a time. Now Markelle at 19 years old, socially, you could see when he's talking to him in, interviews and stuff, he's not exactly the most, articulate kid out there. He's probably a little nervous in the situation that he's in. He's been a top player, yes, but, the NBA is another monster, and, a lot of people telling him different things. From what I heard, he had some people trying to change his jump shot, and I maybe just messed him up mentally. Now, from what I can see, he's been working all summer with the shot doctor. His name is Drew Hanlon. Drew Hanlon very notably helped a lot of players with their jump shot throughout the years, and he has worked pretty hard with Markelle Fultz. Looks like Markelle is making a swift turnaround with that. I've seen him hit a few jumpers in the preseason. He looks to have restored his confidence. Let's also not forget, this kid is a lot more to his game than just shooting the basketball. This Markelle Fultz, 6'4", with a 6'9" wingspan, great ball handling ability to get to the basket, playmaker, can create his own shot, something that most of the team in Philadelphia really didn't have last year. Ben Simmons was the main distributor, and they could really use a guy in the offense that can create their own shot. Markelle can do that. Plus, he brings length, athleticism, and playmaking ability to a team that, could use a little bit of balance. You have a 6'9", talent like Ben Simmons, who's technically your point guard, but technically the body of a power forward. I think having Markelle out there a little bit is going to help them a little bit. I think he's going to turn some heads this season. I'm excited to see what he brings. Hey, Markel, I just want to let you know, man, Good Ass Sports has been supporting you this entire time, man, and we're hoping for the best for you this season. Watch out for Markel Fultz. Watch out for the 76ers. I think they're going to be a very solid team this year, taking big steps forward in the East. But that will remain to be seen. That will remain to be seen. So far, so good, but that will remain to be seen, man. But again, NBA season is right upon us. We are ready. We're excited. And, it remains to be seen. That Eastern Conference is wide open. Wide open. Hey, man, if you guys have any teams that I didn't cover, feel free to comment. Leave some suggestions here. If there's a team I missed out on, players that you think are going to break out this season, hey, let us know. We want to hear from you. I'll tell you what I think. All right, guys. So, signing off. Thanks for listening to us today. Be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. That's Good Ass Sports Network. Also, if you're on Twitter, Instagram, follow us there at Good Ass Sports. And be sure to stay tuned to our website. That's GoodAssSports.com, supplying all the latest content in the sports world. We are sports for the culture.